This is a video for our ICDS summer project, and our group members are me, which is Mike, David, and Jim. This is the student ID for our team members, and next we're going to show you the demo of our chat system.
Hello everyone, my name is David, and I'm going to introduce the function of login password and secure messaging, and Mike is going to introduce the function of online gaming. Let's first start the server. And then we can start the client side. Let's first use existing user. It is Mike with password 1123. Because it is existing, so we can just directly log in. And here's a encrypt decrypt password. We'll use it later. And then start another client side. So let's use a new user. For example, Patrick. It's the password 123, and if we directly click login, it won't respond because we haven't signed up yet. And we press yes, it will direct us to the sign up interface. After signing up, you just log in and there is another encrypt decrypt password. Let's call Mike again. Oops. So let's try some basic functions. Yeah, and then just connect Mike to Patrick. And Mike has to send Patrick his encrypt decrypt password. And Patrick has to send Mike his. So let's first try some messaging, like hi, hello. And if now Mike wants to encrypt some message, for example, let's say Sky. And the password is what Patrick has sent Mike, which is 33521, and encrypt. We can see a kind of random code, and just send it to Patrick. Of course, Patrick don't know what this means at all, so Patrick has to decrypt this message. And the key is what Mike sent him, which is 51781, and decrypt. So we can have the message that Mike wants to send us. And if we want to, for example, encrypt again, we can just press clear and just type in the text we want to encrypt here and do it again. The key is still the one Mike sent him. So these are the login functions and the encrypt decrypt function. So Mike will introduce the online gaming function. So first, quit the chatting mode.
Alright, so let's move into the gaming part. So in the gaming part, we'll have two main functions in the chat system, which is player 1 and player 2. So player 1 is the function which is called to host a tic-tac-toe game, while the player 2 is to join a tic-tac-toe game. So suppose that Patrick was the host of the game, he will input player 1 in the chat box. Alright. So after he put it, we'll move to a page which is called Tic-Tac-Toe Player 1, and it suggests that it was a player. And in this program, I said that the first move will be given to the opponent, and as we can see here, we have games won, lost, and ties. Four main functions which is used to calculate how many games we have played, and how many games we have won, how many games have lost, and how many we have tied. Alright, so I was trying to join Patrick's game, and I put player 2 here. Okay, so this is my page, and we'll show Tic-Tac-Toe Player 2. It shows there's supposed to be a guess, and it's my turn to take the game. However, it is two individual pages, and there's no connection with each other, so I have to input connect. And here, the player 1, Patrick, will receive a question which shows that there's incoming play request from player 2, and whether he accepts or not. And let's put yes here, and the two players will be connected with each other. And let's do some games right now. Okay, so here we have three circles in a row, which suggests that Patrick just won the game. And it will ask whether we want to play it again, so I press yes. Okay, so the whole board will be cleared, and starting with the player 2, it will start a second game. Alright, so at this moment it shows that whether I want to play again, and because I have 3 axes in a row and I won the game. Okay, I will suggest one last time, which is a time mode. And just put some random here. Okay, so at this time we have a 3 circles in a row, and it's Patrick won the game again. Alright, so in this one last time, there's no 3 axes or 3 circles in a row, and it's supposed to be a tie. And okay, I think I'm going to be enough of this game, so I suggest that I'm not going to play again, and it will show the chart that we have won 4 games, and I won 1 time, lost 2 times, and have 1 tie with Patrick. And I think it's time to back to the chat, so I will just simply click the quit game, and we'll move back to the chat box. And Patrick said, okay, I'm back to the chat again, so similarly, he clicked the quit, and we'll move back to the chart. So I believe this is a brief demo of our chatting system, and we will explain further on what we have done in the programming.
I would like to say something about the motivation behind the whole chat system, or just integrate 2 new functions into the original chat system. The first one is the security message system, which ensured the users could encode and decode message sent between each other and avoid a server from what they have actually said. And there is an online gaming system which can make both users play an online tic-tac-toe game with each other. And I would like to discuss about the GUI. And the slide shows the interfaces for the login function. We have set up 2 labels, username label and password label, and ask the users they are going to put in the entry at the back. And we have username entry and password entry. By pointing at 2 different buttons for sign and login in the system is going to lead them to 2 different functions later. At this page is the GUI for user login. It will direct the users to log in with their name and password if they are already registered, and by sending username and password to the main server, the system will examine whether they put the right name or not. In this part, we refer to a package called pickle and adding user.pickle as a user file. Direct the username with the password, and will examine whether the information is correct or not. If they input the right password, it will show welcome, start chatting with their name in the back, and show another info of their password, your encrypt-decrypt password is, and the security message password. Otherwise, it will show error password is wrong. If the name does not exist in the package, it will show welcome, you have not signed up yet, and lead them to the user registration GUI. Here is the user registration function, which let the user input the password and re-enter the password for confirmation. And then we will import the pickle function again for adding the name password pairs back to server. And here is the part examining whether their confirmed password is in line with the new password. If it's not the same one, it will show error password does not match. And if the name already exists in the pickle package, it will show error username already exists, and putting them back to the login function. Similar to login interfaces, this is a sign up function interface where let them put their new name, new password, and confirmation again.
So let's talk about the design of the secure message. So different from encrypting the message in the server, I chose to directly encrypt the message from the client side. So I think it will be much safer than doing it in the server. So I designed a main screen interface for the encrypt decrypt. So after calling out the function, it will show an interface just like the GUI. And after talking about main screen, let's go into the encrypt and decrypt part. So basically, I'm using the package base64 to encrypt and decrypt message. So after we input a plain text, it will return with random string combined with signs, alphabets, and numbers. I also designed the screen for encrypt and decrypt. And there will also be input. So we need a password for encrypt decrypt. So if the password is empty, so the system will ask you to input passwords. And if the password is wrong, it will show wrong password. And it is the same as encrypt for the decrypt side. So how do we set the password? So we basically have a very long number of lists containing a 5-digit number, which is randomly produced. So it is about like 1,000 numbers in it. And every time we open this program, we will like add a number in this num.txt. So every time we generate a password, it will be different from the previous one. And we import secure message to the GUI, so we can have the message box show your encrypt decrypt message is LA+1, so which is the password that we gave them.
Codes for setting the game board, recording the number of games played, resetting the game board to its original state, passing the moves to both players, and checking whether the board is full. For passing the moves to both players, it checks whose turn it is for making the move. This part determines whether a player has won by checking whether there are 3 marks of X or 3 marks of O in a row, either up, down, across, or diagonally. This part computes and returns the final stats of the game. For player 1, as the host, you have the choice to accept or decline the game invitation from player 2. You can also press the quit button and it will close the interface for player 1. For player 2, this part checks whether player 1 has accepted or declined your game invitation. It goes back to the original interface if player 1 declines the invitation. It directs you to the interface of the game board if player 1 accepts the invitation. Once player 1 and 2 are in the match, the code on the right side is for changing terms from the opponent, which is player 1, to you, which is player 2.
For the implementation part, we basically wrote it in the state machine and using a package called subprocess. So every time we type in the chat box player 1, player 2, it will automatically run the corresponding Python program. And since the encrypt decrypt function need to be used in chatting mode, so we put the e/d in the S chatting mode when the self state equals to S chatting. And we also changed the menu in the chat utils. So for the organization, we didn't write all the program in the given sample GUI. We created some new programs, for example, the secure messaging to create the GUI interface and also the encrypt decrypt function, and there's a num.txt related to it for setting the new password. And we also have game board, and there's a class called board in it designing the game function. And we also have player 1, player 2 to receive and send message. So for some possible improvements, when we play the game, because the host is sending player 1 to the server and guest sending player 2 to the server, but we can't change the name of the host and guest, which is a place where we can improve. And also the list for generating the encrypt decrypt password, it is although it has 1,000 numbers in it, but it will finally run out, so we can further figure out a way how to make it infinite or do it in another way. That's all of our ICDS final project, and thank you for watching.